Hello everyone, Rorius here, with a one-off, rather strange video. It's not like anything I would normally do. I just felt like I needed to just speak directly to some of my viewers, purely for the fact that I just wanted to give my opinion on a couple of things and a little bit of a sort of an update or I think I was wanting to say state of the nation type talk about the channel, I guess. Just about things about the channel so far. One of the things that I will mention is... Oh, I'll just give you the cliff notes. The main thing I decided I was gonna talk about one of the things with, Valve has recently really announced their newest game, that is the game Artifact, and my kind of opinion on why people might be upset about this and why people might be angry about this, but also to try and give sort of like a leveling. I like to try and level the playing field a little bit and possibly help people see things from different perspectives. Yeah, and then of course I'm going to talk about some things that are changing on the channel, some advancements, some things that I just kind of want feedback. I would like to get some feedback if people are interested or willing to give feedback. Now, firstly, we'll start. This will be a rather short video, by the way. I'm not really familiar with how vlogging stuff works, so it's weird. I'm used to talking to the camera now, or talking to the game that I'm playing if I'm playing a game. But when there's no music in my ears, when there's no... this is a weird thing for me to get used to just yet. But yeah, so to start off with, we'll talk about Artifact. Now, I personally, when I heard the news, when I first heard Valve's releasing a new game, I of course got all excited. I immediately felt like, oh my god, it's happening! Hallelujah, sort of thing. And then I saw what it was, and I was immediately disheartened and disappointed. One of the things that I will say is that at first I just was disappointed because I don't really play things like Hearthstone. I know people love Hearthstone, and people love the game Gwent from the Witcher series, and there's a bunch of other like getting rather big card games around that are based on series and that people love. But I think upon thinking about it, upon analyzing it, I think what a lot of people and myself probably think when a problem that we have with the game, there's a couple of things that I think are problems. Firstly is that we've come to know Valve as being great at first it was they're great at narrative-driven, story-based games, like games like Half-Life 1, games like Half-Life 2, games like Portal. We all love Portal here. Those games, we grew up, a lot of us grew up with those games. Like, I played, the first Valve game I played was Half-Life 1 on my PC back in the day. And I played the hell out of it. I played all of the, like, expansion packs that were released by Gearbox, and I tried downloading mods back when I had dial-up frickin' internet, which meant it took literally days to download, like your average mod. And then it took me a while to get Half-Life 2, just purely because I had a shitty computer. But yeah, the games like Half-Life 2, Portal 2, even like to some degree Left 4 Dead. And that sort of brings about the next mention, which is that they're also excellent at creating multiplayer shooters, or certain multiplayer setups, I guess. You got your Counter-Strike, you got your Team Fortress 2, games along those varieties, as well as things like Left 4 Dead, which were sort of more innovative. And that is actually what I'm going to lead on from here, is that I think one of the biggest things, when I really analysed my own thoughts about Artifact, one of the big things that came to my mind was the idea that I think I'm so disappointed about the Artifact release, mainly because in the past we have the bar was set so high, I guess, that almost every game that they had released, other than sort of like sequels of, or even some of the sequels of their games, they were always innovating in some way. They were always setting a new bar for a lot of people to beat, a lot of people to overcome. So like you have your Half-Life 1 was not graphically or mechanically much different from a lot of other shooters at the time, but what it changed was the way that narrative is given in a game. It was the first game where the first game that I know of where there were your first person shooter, first shooter kind of game that had characters in the game that weren't enemies. So you had your scientists, who weren't necessarily allies or enemies, and then you had your security guards, who could become enemies if you shot them, but were ultimately your allies. They would help you through the game. And then they had some examples of sort of neutral things where there's just certain AI advancements and narrative. The fact that the game didn't have any sort of direct cutscenes and all the narrative, all the story was given in the game itself. It was you were still in control of a lot of the sequences when narrative information was being given to the player. So that was a huge change in the way that a lot of shooters went. A lot of shooters went from being just blast everything you see that moves to suddenly, team-based narrative stories and or hero-based ones where you're talking to people and interacting with good guys, and then you're going and killing bad guys, and it altered the way that a lot of shooters went. So there was a innovative new product. With Half-Life 2, of course, they went for the graphics side. They kept that core, really integrated narrative-focused gameplay, but they also added awesome new mechanics, including a physics engine, which was huge at the time, and they massively improved in the graphics department. One of the main ones being facial animations. So they went to, I won't talk too much about it, but they reinvented the kind of facial animation systems that are now often used, to this day. And then they went on to make things like Portal, which was like a brand new style, well, maybe not brand new, but it was a very innovative style of game where you had it's in the guise of a first-person shooter, but you're solving puzzles with that gun that you have. So it created a new style of puzzle-based gameplay, and things like even the likes of, well, I'll talk about the likes of Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike vastly changed the nature of a lot of multiplayer shooters. So it was one of the leaders in its field when it came to pushing for changes to the way that multiplayer shooters worked, and it sparked up a lot of what is now the esports. Of course, there was already things like StarCraft and other games that had esports style gatherings, if you will, but Counter-Strike initiated a real new kind of esport that hadn't really been seen at the time, and so that, once again, it was an innovative new product. You go to Left 4 Dead, where they've got it originally started as just a mod for Counter-Strike, where it was just a knife-only enemies, and you basically just have to fend them off with whatever guns you can get. Turns into an asymmetrical horror shooter game, which has spawned a bunch of different similar but different asymmetrical games, asymmetrical multiplayer games. Things like Evolve. I know Evolve didn't do too well, but games like Evolve or Dead by Daylight, or even things like there's a new game that's released that's very similar to Left 4 Dead called Earthfall, which I actually intend to play at some point. I don't know if I'll play it on the channel or not, unless people want to see it. I don't know. But yeah, once again, it was an innovative new concept for multiplayer. So it was cooperative multiplayer with against enemies, or it can be that, as I said, asymmetrical, where you have players playing as the survivors, and you got different players who are playing with different rules as the infected, who are trying to stop the players. So yeah, somewhat people might argue that it's not entirely asymmetrical, but I would argue that it is, purely from the fact that the zombies have very different rules set around the way that they play. So the zombies are quick to die, but they can, they can respawn basically infinitely. Whereas the survivors, they only have one shot, but they're very powerful. They're the powerful ones. So yeah, you've got innovations in different kinds of cooperative and multiplayer, and it's cooperative and then competitive. That's the word I'm looking for. Multiplayer, and then if we go back a bit, we go back to Team Fortress 2. Of course, that was another reinvention of the class-based shooter. Admittedly, it was based on Team Fortress Classic, or Team Fortress, which was a mod for Half-Life 1. Was it Counter-Strike? I don't remember now. I'm sure Editing Roy will put it somewhere on the screen. But yeah, then you've got even the likes of Portal 2. You had advancements in technologies and new ideas around interesting ways to solve puzzles, including cooperative Portal. It's like they're always pushing and advancing technology. The technology or the mechanics and the way that people make certain genres of game. And I think what a lot of people are frustrated with, at least from my perspective, what I'm frustrated with. I won't speak on behalf of everyone because I can't possibly know what everyone's thinking. One of the things that I think bothers me the most about recent Valve is that they haven't been doing that same thing. They haven't been essentially reinventing the wheel. They haven't been innovating in the same way that they had in the past. They've been playing catch up instead. I mean, they are working on the VR stuff, which is excellent, and I can't wait to see what this... They were talking about, they've got, is it 3? At least 2 or 3 VR titles in the works. So, I'm incredibly excited to see where they're going with that, because I do believe that they are innovating in that field, and that is very cool to hear about, very cool to see. Too bad I can't afford a Vive. But maybe one day I'll be able to afford it. I can't afford it. It's so expensive, and I have a PlayStation VR, so that'll do me for now. But yeah, I very much am excited to see their VR stuff. But when it comes to their non-VR stuff, the last thing they released, the most recent game that they made was Dota 2, which many would argue is not even their title. It's something that was a bit controversial when they were first making it, because they were essentially taking what was once a mod and something that was free and turning it into a paid, game that was paid game that is essentially like a... I think I actually don't remember now. I feel like League of Legends was already out and popular when they made and released Dota 2, but I will definitely check up on that. All I can say is that kind of arena, the MOBAs were already popular when they released Dota 2. And so they were making no real advancement. It wasn't innovating. It was kind of playing catch up. And with the release of Artifact, once again, they're playing catch up. I feel like the card-based game has been around for a while now. Playing games like Hearthstone. Hearthstone's been around for quite some time now. And so hearing that Valve is and hearing that people, they're making Gwent, the Gwent version, the outside of Witcher 3 version of Gwent, so you can play it without that. And you have there's a Final Fantasy card game that you can get on your phone or something. I haven't played it. I don't fully know. I feel like hearing that Artifact is going to be Valve's answer to the current trend of card games. I feel like Valve isn't innovating anymore. They're basically seeing a trend in current popular stuff, and they're just trying to bandwagon on it instead of coming up with a new trend, instead of being the trendsetters. I sum up everything I've just said. Instead of being trendsetters in the last sort of 5 to 8 years, they've been jumping on bandwagons instead of being the trendsetter or the bandwagon itself. Instead of being the starter of that wagon, they're hooking on to the tails of that wagon. But yeah, I think that's enough ranting about Valve. Oh, one thing I will add though is that I did say I was going to try and balance things out. What I will add is that the positive thing to take away, you don't get too angry about the fact that Valve is releasing something that isn't like their specialty. One thing that I will add that definitely needs to be said is that the fact that they are releasing stuff, the fact that this is the first thing that they've released since they made Dota 2 is still a positive thing. And the fact that they've mentioned that there are other games in the works as well leads me to believe that this was a little taster of some of the new stuff they had, and that more new content, more games, probably VR-related games, are around the corner to some degree. You know, this is like a taster to hold us over for when they actually release something meaty, something with a bit of long last in it. That being said, this Artifact game might end up being super popular and setting a new trend of all sorts of new card games and stuff, and maybe I'm entirely wrong. That could very well be true. Knowing my luck, whenever I say this kind of thing, it always I end up eating my words a lot. But nevertheless, on to talking about the channel. So, at the moment, the channel has kind of a little bit plateaued. I've mostly got the support of all the people who are watching the developer commentary and Valve related content, as was the start of this video. But I do feel like I'm not making a whole lot of headway when it comes to new subscribers and new people who are wanting to watch more of my content other than just the developer commentary stuff. Now, I'm super pleased and super happy that people are interested in watching me talk about anything. The fact that I have people who are interested in hearing what I have to say about, or what I have to add to the developer commentary stuff, is super exciting to me. And I can't wait for, to be able to say more stuff about more games to even more people. But I'm definitely starting to feel like I'm pushing pretty hard to try and get this going, and there's not a lot of I'm not getting a whole lot of response from that push. Now, I don't mean that there's plenty of you who are super enthusiastic and are making my year, making my day and my year by watching what you watch. But I feel like, that the growth that I was experiencing, mainly because I got a shout out, but there was some growth that I was experiencing before that's sort of waning a bit or dying away a bit. And I hate to say this, I hate to do this. I never like to ask people for things, but one of the things that I've started doing is that there's a couple of YouTubers that I've been watching that I've noticed are having the similar issues. They have there's a similar struggle that all new YouTubers have when they start a channel, and that is, at first, the growth is slow. It is very hard to get your stuff out there when there's so many other people trying to do the exact same thing. But something that I have noticed is that immediately when people start either sharing or shouting out stuff amongst each other, even if it doesn't necessarily garner new subscribers or new viewers and things like that, just seeing that people are doing those kind of things, just seeing that people are passionate enough to share the videos out like that, I feel like that often reflects back and makes the person who's releasing the content feel a hell of a lot better about what they're doing. Now, I don't expect anyone to actually share my videos or do that kind of thing, but if anyone actually has a Twitter, if you actually have means of sharing some of my videos, or just mentioning them to people, that it would be immensely appreciated if you could share the videos. I hate asking for this. Is actually quite painful for me to do this. It's painful for me to say this, but I definitely know that it would mean the world to me. It would mean a hell of a lot if people found it in their hearts to to share little old me from New Zealand around the world. I don't think I have anything further to say to that. If you feel so inclined, maybe give me a share on maybe Twitter or just anything. Just anything will do. Anything's fine with me. Just watching my videos is pretty freaking exciting to me. Seeing that people actually watch my videos is pretty exciting to me. But yeah, now onto some other random news to do with the channel. I have changed my software that I use. So I still use OBS for my main recording for my computer games. I utilize... Yeah, a problem I've been having with OBS is that my graphics card is not exactly the best graphics card. It's an AMD. AMD is not doing quite as well at the moment as Intel and Nvidia. But one of the problems is that I'm having difficulty when it comes to recording with all my PlayStation stuff, with all my PlayStation Plus Facecam stuff. OBS records using a particular encoder, and Elgato must use a different encoder, because I can record both of those video streams perfectly fine, and they work. They have no issues recording at the same time. I have no sort of frame drops or anything like that, or corruption or anything caused by overloading. I have none of that problem. But when it comes to recording my camera and gameplay at the same time, because of the way that the encoders work, basically I can't. It immediately gives me an error, immediately throws a thing saying, can't do the recording, overloaded encoder, and it doesn't allow me to do it. So for now, I'm just keeping the system I have going. So I'm just recording my face live, and so I will have to move it manually myself, which unfortunately does mean that sometimes I will forget to move it. I hope people aren't bothered too much by that. If you're really bothered by that, if you're annoyed by that, let me know. I'm always keen to see what people think about all the decisions I make on YouTube. But yeah, so the OBS, yeah, I'm having a little bit of trouble with OBS because of those things, but I don't mind. I'm still managing to do what I want to do mostly. But the main thing I've changed as of yesterday was that I got new rendering software. Or editing/rendering software. So originally I was using a program called Lightworks, but I was just using the free trial version. Unfortunately, it was quite limited, and it only allowed for exporting. It says exporting to YouTube, but what it really was, it was just exporting with a basic MP4 exporter that would it was allowed to be 60 FPS, but it wasn't allowed to be any higher than 1280 by 720. So I can only do the lower end of HD videos. But one thing I will mention is that it's very nice to use, very easy to pick up, and so I was able to pick up the editing, like the logic behind the editing stuff very quickly with that software. Now, instead of that, Steam, of course, has a sale a couple of days ago. It might still be on. I'm not sure. I haven't checked. They had a sale on Vegas Pro 14. It was something like 65% off or something. It was some huge discount. And so I bought it. I bought it, and I've given it a try. And yesterday's episode of Little Big Planet, that was the very first thing I'd ever edited on it. Now, that took... Yeah, unfortunately, because the editing software is much more professional, I had no idea what I was doing, and so I recorded that episode, and then I basically had to teach myself how to edit it as I was editing it. And let's just say, editing took a lot longer than it did previously, mainly because, yeah, as I said, I was teaching myself how to edit, so of course it's going to take a bit longer to do. But then the second thing was, as it turns out, because it's a lot more intense and it's able to export much better quality videos, the render took about 3 times as long as it would for Lightworks to do it. But that is because I'm exporting 1920 by 1080 instead of 720. So it took about 3 times as long to render. It probably took about 2 or 3 times as long to edit, and then took about at least 3 times long to render, and then by the time it's finished rendering, I was exhausted because it was like the middle of the night and I really needed to go to bed. But then I went ahead and started uploading it, and because I live in New Zealand, as I've said I think already in this video, but internet here, at least where I live, is not good. It's really not good. We're not on my particular house is not on fiber yet, so we don't have fiber internet just yet where I am, and so uploading, especially uploading stuff, downloading's fine. It's handleable, you know, it's manageable. But when it comes to uploading stuff, especially, it seems like especially for YouTube, maybe my ISP is intentionally throttling YouTube stuff, but when I'm uploading my videos, it takes ages for stuff to upload, which is super problematic because you know, now that I've got this better software, the file size is a lot larger because I'm working with 1080 instead of 720, and the actual quality of the video is a hell of a lot better now. Admittedly, what I'm recording at the moment is from my webcam, so it's not exactly the best quality. My webcam normal, wait, I'll just show you. My webcam normally is like this. This is I happen to have a wide lens webcam, which probably was a bad choice for purchasing, but yeah, it means that I can have a lot of people in my video, but it means also that if I want just my face on the camera, I have to zoom in, and it's not a manual zoom, it's a digital zoom, so I lose resolution when I zoom. But yeah, so I'm sorry about the lack of quality in this particular video. Essentially what you're seeing is 720, a 720 version of my camera's 1080. But yeah, yeah, so because the software is outputting a lot higher quality videos, yeah, the file size is getting way bigger. Yeah, it's taking long to edit, although I think that'll get better. It'll immediately get better now that I know what I'm doing. The render time is a hell of a lot longer, and the upload time is excessively longer. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to continue to do... I've been trying as best as I can to do 2 episodes a day, with every now and then just deciding that, oh no, I need a break, something for that day, or I need to... I have some other things to do, and so I'll just upload 1 episode. Well, I think it's going to have to be... I'm going to have to roll back to doing just the 1 episode a day. Mainly because it's just... Yeah, it's just taking too long to do these things. And most of the time when I'm rendering one video, I can't, as far as I'm aware, I can't have another video up to edit. I can't edit while it's rendering, so I can't multitask quite the same way that I can with other things. You know, I don't think there's any multitasking available in the past for my editing stuff either. So yeah, when it comes to editing, I don't have multitask ability, and so I can't. It's become very difficult to do more than 1 video a day. Admittedly, if it turns out that it was just the 1 video and future videos are perfectly fine and you know, I can get them out in reasonable amount of time, then I'll go back to doing 2 episodes a day. But for now, until I sort of get my grasp on Vegas, get my grasp on Vegas Pro 14, yeah, I'll have to roll it back a bit, dial it down a bit. And to be fair, I think for someone who is as early as I am in the likes of YouTube, the fact that I'm just doing it as a hobby for now, and there's no real, there's not quite the same commitment of someone like, you know, someone big, one of the big YouTubers. I think it's probably not wise to bust my ass over getting 2 episodes a day when I'm this early on. You know, it's like I'm gonna keep as far as if all else fails, I'm gonna try my freaking hardest to keep up the 1 video a day thing. And a lot of YouTubers, that is what they do. They just release one video a day, and I think that's manageable. I think I can handle that. But yeah, I think so. Yeah, I know the likes of Jacksepticeye, for instance, and I think Markiplier as well. They both upload two videos every day. But the difference there is that they have a lot of help. They have a lot of people who work with them or for them, who can help them get those things out. They can help them transfer things. And a lot of people, I don't know about either of them, actually. I don't know if they're under the same window or blanket or whatever you want to call it. They probably have a lot better internet than I do. Yeah, being little old me in the down under, as they often say, down in New Zealand, not Australia, New Zealand. Yeah, things take a while to get all the way across the world. So I think this video has gone on way too long. This was only supposed to be like a 5 to 10 minute video. It turns out I've been recording for half an hour. I don't know how much I'll edit this. Whether you'll be listening to me for half an hour, I don't know. I don't know if anyone is that interested in my channel or in me to spend a full half hour of just listening to me yammering on about stuff, ranting about stuff. But yeah, so if you absolutely hate this kind of video, let me know in the comments. I won't make any more if everyone hates them. If you want to hear things from me like that, ask me questions. I'm willing to. I often answer things. I often talk about things at the start of other episodes. But if enough people are asking me stuff about the channel or about videos, about general things, then maybe I'll make another episode of this in the future. And I also plan to do something like this, or do something special when I hit the 50 mark. At the moment, I'm sitting at 45 subscribers, and that's good. I'm happy with that for now. I intend to grow. I intend to get higher. But yeah, I think when I get to 50 subscribers, I will do a little video talking about that, and I definitely want that to be the first milestone video. And I think at the moment we're getting. I'm gonna bring it up. I'm gonna have a look. I think last I checked, there was about 2,500 views, which is freaking awesome. It's so cool to see that kind of thing. I'm just gonna bring it up now. Oh, we're over. Okay, so 2,652 views, which I think is freaking awesome. And when I look at things like the like data in the channel information, there's some really cool stuff here. Like, yeah, there's so many thousands of minutes of views and stuff like that. I love seeing that kind of stuff because it boggles my mind. It melts my mind how so much time can be spent on me by people. It's like I never imagined that's what that people would be genuinely interested in me and actually watch my stuff. So it's really cool to look at some of the figures, but I won't bore you to death with my figures. And that in the end, they are just figures. I don't mind being small. I would rather have the sort of the interaction that some of us have been having recently. I've very much enjoyed talking to different people about things that they're passionate about things that they know, or that hearing their corrections of me ranting randomly in the video and being corrected by some of the people. I actually really do enjoy that. I've really loved the interaction that I've had with some of my subscribers so far. Here's to if I had a drink, I would hold it up and cheers. Here's to many more, well, hopefully many more weeks, many more years, many more videos. How about that? Yeah, I think we'll have to call that there. I've been rambling way too long. If you like what you saw, hit like. If you want to see more videos, mostly gameplay, not videos like this. This is a one-off. This is weird. If you want to see more gameplay videos, if you want to see more developer commentary videos, if you want to see more game development videos, then subscribe. I swear I'm working on a proper outro. So videos very soon will have an outro in them instead of me just doing my thumbs up thing. Thank you so much for watching, and as always,